guys, Mike here. So this will be one of the craziest videos I've ever done, and I gotta thank one of our viewers and one of the members for pointing this out to me a couple weeks ago. So I did research it, and I can see why they thought it was so important, and this is something everybody needs to know. So please at least share this video with one person you know, if not many. Post it to your Twitter account, whatever you got. Send it out, because this is something everybody needs to know, and you can use this to your advantage. But it is some scary, scary stuff, and there's no doubt, I can't predict when, and I won't even try, when it will lead to a catastrophe, but it will. Mark my words on that right there. So again, please share the video. Please hit a thumbs up. It helps get the video out to more people. And again, there is a positive at the end of this. So please just pay attention to everything I'm about to say to you. And on this channel, we like to pull the curtain back, see how things work behind the scenes. And this backs up a whole lot of what I was saying, and even makes, answer some of my questions, believe it or not. So anyway, let's get right into it, because I like to keep these videos as short as possible for you, okay? And some of you might have heard of Aladdin. Let me know in the comments if you have. But this was Larry Fink's idea many decades ago. And understand what's going on here. This AI system, this robot, controls $21 trillion of the global economy. And if you're like me, that was my reaction. Yes, $21 trillion. And of course, how does it do this? Okay, understand this is how embedded this AI system is now. It advises the Federal Reserve, all major banks, investment funds on Wall Street, and more than 17,000 traders around the world. It controls half of all ETFs, the bond market, the global stock market, and makes 250,000 trades every day and billions of forecasts every week, year after year, accumulating trillions of data points in each market, which we're going to get to that in just a second. Today, over 30,000 users in 50 countries use this AI platform now. It is in the largest U.S. pension funds, as you can see right here. It is in the largest insurance companies out there, and more importantly, Vanguard and some others which we will talk about. And we'll really touch on Vanguard and State Street in particular. And this has been going on since the 1990s. All right, there's State Street. They also use this service. There's a reason why I'm pointing these two out in particular. We'll tie this together. Don't worry, this is big time, okay? When you look at this right here, this is the breakdown of the countries that are using Aladdin right now. You got United States, Switzerland, so it's not just the US, France, Netherlands, Italy, United Kingdom, Germany, Australia, Spain, Slovakia, Belgium, Denmark, Luxembourg, Singapore. But it doesn't just stop there. In 2017, Larry Fink came up with a project called Monarch at BlackRock. And this was to ensure almost everything goes into Aladdin's hands, and the algorithms for Aladdin controls and makes all the decisions. So they started replacing fund managers. And so this is what skyrocketed the number of trades that were being executed by algorithms. Now it's around 70% of all trades are through these robots, right? And when you look at it, this is how powerful this is and how crazy this is going to get. It's going to get worse, right? But it started in 2008. They actually, our own government, turned to BlackRock to use Aladdin and try to figure out what to do in the great financial crisis. So they just handed over, $130 billion in financial services to BlackRock. And so BlackRock was the ones making decisions on what to save and what not to save. And so they were the ones making these decisions. What could possibly go wrong there? And so this is where it really started, where I told you, you can see it in the charts, where the government basically started taking over the markets with BlackRock's help, because that's when they started buying public debt, something they have never done before. It was BlackRock advising them. And of course, what happens? Here comes the next crisis in 2020. So what does our government do? They turn to BlackRock again. And so what's BlackRock do? They say, you know what you got to do? You got to buy ETFs. And so, the Fed, something they've never done, is actually against the rules, bought $8.7 billion worth of ETFs. Now, who do you think gained the most from this? Of course, BlackRock and Vanguard, the ETF kings. But not just them, also State Street, as you can see, right? These are the top three. Look at all that moolah, right? They were getting bought up. And so, of course, they advised them to do it. They did it, and they also benefited. And they're like, yay, thank you, Papa Jerome Powell, for putting that money printer back on. And BlackRock and Vanguard, State Street, counting that money, were just calling each other saying, can you believe these morons are actually doing this? I mean, this is the easiest money we have ever made. And remember, what is money? Power. Money is power. Now we're going to get into why this makes your life a lot easier, and then some other things here, okay? And look, this kind of stuff, it bothers me. I can't stand it. Nothing ends well when you see this much power being concentrated in just a few companies. Look at this right here. These three fund families we just talked about control 74% of the equity ETF market. This is from May 13th, 2024. That's right, 3 funds. And then we zoom in, you can see these 3 companies have the largest stakes in 88% of the S&P 500 firms right now. And I'm going to take you through a few of these. Some of these are very key sectors, and you want to have certain things happen behind the scenes. Just look at this right here. BlackRock and Vanguard just by themselves own 15% of NVIDIA. You add State Street in there, it's almost 20%. So they own 1/5 of NVIDIA. You look at what's going on here with SMCI, it's even more. It's like 23% of SMCI is owned by Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. So they have the AI market all locked up, as you can see right here. Look at what they got with Google, right? Almost 18%. You look at some of the largest drug makers, right? Vanguard by themselves owns 10%. You add in State Street and BlackRock, it's almost 18 to 20% of this company. You go over here to Pfizer, it's the exact same thing. Vanguard almost owns 10% by themselves. You add in State Street and BlackRock, again, almost 1/5 of 2 of the largest drug makers out there. And you wonder how vaccines get pushed through without the proper testing. There you go. Then you look over here, the airlines. Oh yeah, don't worry about that. Look at Vanguard and them. They actually own almost 20% of American Airlines. Delta Airlines, they own almost 20% of Delta Airlines, right? 1/5. So now you see where that 88% of S&P 500 companies come from. And of course, why this is dangerous is because they have power. If you listen to the execs of some of these companies after this ESG debacle came out, you saw these companies rolling out crazy commercials, stocks crashing, right? And they call it the environmental, social, and governance transition of investing and stuff. This is why this happened, because BlackRock and these other companies pressured these companies to do this, all right? And of course, it did not end up well at all. But that's what happens when you're running almost $20+ trillion in assets between 3 companies, okay? This is very important to understand. But they're not just done there, right? And you saw how they changed those companies. You saw what they did to those companies. Executives have come out and said this. The ones that actually they got fired or left were kind of whistleblow on them. But when you look, what else they getting into, and this is why I say the Bitcoin cycle, as we know, is over. When you look right here, BlackRock's 20 billion ETF is now the world's largest Bitcoin fund. But they ain't done with that. What are they doing? They're buying up all of the miners, right? Mara, they already own 13% of it. This most likely will increase. Look what Vanguard owns. So you start adding up Vanguard and BlackRock, they're going to end up owning 25% of it if you add State Street in there as well. You look at Riot, they own 7.5% of that one. Look down here, 8.5% from Vanguard. So you add in State Street again, it's almost 18% already. Well, what's even crazier is to look how intertwined they are. I mean, Vanguard's supposed to be the competition to BlackRock, but yet they own almost 9% of BlackRock. State Street owns 4% of BlackRock. And so as you can see, these companies are so intermingled together in so many different ways, right? But it's going to get worse. It's going to get even more concentrated. And here's why. What is the new oil? We've heard this for like 10 years right now. What are companies doing? What are they buying up? Why don't you tell us there, Gordon?
The most valuable commodity I know of is information. Wouldn't you agree?
That's right. It's data. It's our data. It's everybody's data. And what has BlackRock been doing over the last 5 to 6 years? Buying data companies, right? They bought eFront right here. They bought eFront back in 2019. And then they just recently closed on Preqin this month over in the UK. And this is when they started really figuring out like what it is we're buying, what Europeans are buying. And so they're bringing all this data, shoving it into Aladdin and putting it in there just for it to make more decisions. And so this will get worse. This will get more concentrated as these other companies continue to sign contracts to use Aladdin in their own platforms. And it says it right there in the bottom. In a statement, BlackRock said that the acquisition would complement its Aladdin tech business by bringing together data, research, and investment process for fund managers. So again, this will be going out to who? Vanguard, State Street, and many, many others. And so now we'll go over why, one, this is scary, and how you will see eventually one day, who knows when it's going to happen, there'll be a major, major collapse in the financial system. And it's going to be because of Aladdin. Because what's funny is Aladdin got Larry Fink fired back in the day because it made the wrong decision. So imagine, it's basically like putting all your eggs in one basket. That's what everybody seems to be doing, and it's growing and growing and growing, and more people are using this, right? And so if that AI system makes a bad decision, it will spread through the globe so fast in all these different financial institutions. Late at night while we're all sleeping, you'll wake up one day, or maybe you'll be on vacation on the beach, and you look at your phone, and all of a sudden your portfolio is down 40%, right? Just like that. That's what happened in 08. One company started it, spread right on through. Now, I can't prove that Aladdin was advising these companies to do what they were doing, you know, with mortgage-backed security and everything else, but it sure spread pretty quick, right? And it was all into our system when it happened, right? So again, that hopefully will be many years from now. But here's another thing, and here's why long-term investing can be a lot easier for you. You don't even have to make it complicated at all. All you got to do is look at this right here. Let me show you something. I showed you how much assets BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard have, right? I'm going to show you the top 10 holdings. I'm not going to show you who has these, but I want you to look at this. Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, Meta, Google, Berkshire, Google. There's two different kind of classes of Google. Eli Lilly and JP Morgan. That's one. And so, of course, who owns this one? Well, this is State Street. Now, let's go on to the next one. Top 10 list, totally different firm. You ready? Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, Meta, Google, Berkshire Hathaway, Abgo, that's a different one, Eli Lilly. And again, who owns this one? Because that looks real familiar. There's only one stock that's different. Vanguard. Okay. Now we'll go over the last one here. Top 10. Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, Meta, Google, Eli Lilly, Abgo, Berkshire. Well, who owns that one? That looks identical. Well, that is BlackRock themselves. So wait a minute. You're telling me 3 of the top 4 biggest asset managers have almost identical top 10 lists. So you're looking around $22, $23 trillion total they got to spend. Well, could that explain why these stocks continue to set all-time high after all-time high after all-time high? And no matter what time frame you go back to, these are the ones that got concentrated into because what? Aladdin told them, this is where you need to go. You need to go into large cap, high cash position stocks that still have growth. That's where you need to go. You do not need to go into small caps or mid caps. Don't worry about those. You need to go into these 10 to 12 stocks. Because if you scroll down on the list for Vanguard and BlackRock, actually what you would end up seeing is JP Morgan is number 11 on their list. So they just substitute in Abgo, okay? So that right there should let you know, if you look at these 3 firms and you look at their top 10 list, odds are those stocks are going up, right? Those stocks will be the leaders almost every time, right? And that list will change over the decades. It always has. It's changed from 2000, 2010, 2020. It will always change. But one thing to keep in mind as well when it comes to this, the reason why concentration in the market is so important when it comes to a index moving up, with the stock market as a whole just going up. These are the top 10 stocks as a percentage of S&P 500 market cap. You know which one they are today. You can see that right there. You see when it's coming down back here in the 70s, going into the 90s right there. You see when it went up, leading into the .com bubble. You see when it started coming down, leading into the 08 crash. And when we scroll up here, look at this. We scroll up, you can clearly see when the best times in the market are. All right, we'll scroll down. Look at this. You go from the 70s when it was going down, and the market literally from like 1970 to 1985 had the same high on it, right? It took years to break that. You see, look at this right here. Ooh, we're roaring. What's happening? Concentration's going up. Right here after the .com crash, concentration was coming down, and look at that. It took almost 12 years to break to an all-time new high right there. And then all of a sudden, concentrating really started ramping up. This is when the Mag 7 were born and all that good stuff. We've branched out to probably the Mag 10 now. And you can see greatest bull run we've seen in, I don't know, probably forever right there. And so that list I showed you for those 3 companies explain, one, why concentration goes up. Again, over the decades, these are going to change. But these companies now, why those lists look so familiar is because they're following the same AI system. They're getting advice from the same AI system on risk management, things of that nature. And so they're basically following together. You see those companies are invested in one another as well. So they are intertwined like crazy. Plus, those companies know that BlackRock has their people in Washington advising not just the president, the vice president, the cabinet, the Federal Reserve. Matter of fact, they advise almost all Federal Reserve banks, all the major ones. They're already embedded with them too. And so, again, if you're long-term investor and you're going, what stock should I invest in? Well, you look at that and you think, if they were making, if they were just going away from BlackRock, doing something totally opposite, that would be one thing. But those lists are all identical. And you've seen Abgo. It's just been going crazy, all those stocks. And every time you say, how can it keep going higher and higher? Because we give our money to Vanguard, to BlackRock, to State Street, and they turn around and what do they buy? Those stocks. And they just keep setting new all-time highs. So, will it end badly? Of course it'll end badly one day. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This always happens. When all the eggs go in one basket, there's always a catastrophe, right? But don't worry. Aladdin and BlackRock will be there to advise our government how to get out of it. And you know what they're going to say? You need to print more money. And next time, most likely, since they bought public debt in 2008, they bought ETFs in 2020, most likely they'll start buying individual stocks, honestly, at that point in time. And again, I always say, I said it in 2020, I'll say it until the day I die. When it comes to an emergency, we are more than willing to give up our freedoms. We always say in America, oh, freedom's everything, the Constitution. Nope, when emergency happens, we just go, please, government, save us, save my 401k. And it works till it doesn't, right? So just want to put that there to you so you can see that. To me, I think it's scary as can be. But I always say take the scary and use it to your advantage. And now you can do that. Okay, so hope you got something out of it. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you did. I really appreciate all you guys. And I'll see you tomorrow.